Okay. So for Libra, the full moon is actually in the 8th house. Other people's money, your partner's resources. It is also the house of the occult sciences. It's hidden knowledge. And people who have psychic gifts, they often have the 8th house lord or the 9th house lord involved with the 1st house. So it's a quick and easy way to see if you have so-called psychic gifts. It means very intuitive. And you can see hidden knowledge, hidden things. And the occult sciences, astrology is one of those sciences. And if you've been thinking about studying astrology, this would be a good time to start. Because the study of astrology is a spiritual path in and of itself. Which is why if you got a reading once a month for 1 year, when the moon was full, you would learn so much about yourself. So that self-knowledge, you'd be tracking your, I consider the birth chart to be like a spiritual map. It's a star map, literally, but it's also a spiritual map. And so following, it doesn't have to be the moon. You can pick something else. But the moon in particular is very important. It's the most, well, it's the mind, and it's how you feel. It's your heart. That's where a great deal of our intelligence is in the heart. So did you want to talk about that? Does that come up in Ayurveda? You know, because I know that the gut is like a second immune system and the heart is like a second mind.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, that is certainly true. And I think one of the ways we can understand that connection is by contemplating the meaning of the 8th house as ayus, which means life or life force, source of life. And it's also the same root of Ayurveda, which is the science of life. So ayu means life. That's what the 8th house is really about. And that's why it relates to so many things. And it's a vulnerable area because it's one of the main vital points of the chart. You know, and so I would say there's quite a lot of energy there. There's a lot of life energy there. And with the moon in the 8th house for Libra people, it's really auspicious because they can gain a lot in their health from this. But the 8th house is a major health house, right? Because health is the substratum of life. If you're not healthy, you're dying, basically, slowly or quickly. Right? I mean, that's the truth of it. So life and health are synonymous. And, you know, one of the sayings that I really like from the Charaka Samhita, which is one of the source texts of Ayurveda, is Deha Prana Samyoge Ayuha, which means that life is the flow of energy in the body. And that is the 8th house as I see it, because the 8th house is life. So it's about the flow of energy in the body and all the things that relates to. And that is a hidden thing. If you think about it, you can't see that, right? I'm sitting here talking about prana and life energy, and nobody can quantify that for anybody. Nobody can empirically prove that to anybody. It's not material. It's hidden. You know, it's something that you can see through the intuitive eyes of inner vision, like yogis do, something you can feel, and things like that. So that's also why the 8th house gets those connotations of hidden and secretive and occult, because the things which relate to life, truly, and which relate to energy, are occult in nature. They're hidden. They're esoteric. So health is also really ultimately an esoteric matter. It's a matter of spirituality. It's a matter of transcendence. So I would say that I'm just talking generally really about the 8th house in this moment. But for Libra people, having a full moon there is great because, like I said, the immunity and the essential life force, really the ojas, what I'm calling ojas as the vital essence, is really the crystallization of our life energy. the most essential form of it. And in Ayurveda, they say that Ojas resides in the heart in 8 drops, quantity of 8 drops. Okay. And the heart, of course, is also described as a lotus. And if you lose even one of those drops of Ojas in the heart, you no longer have the ability to continue to exist physically. So what it takes to lose that level of Ojas is a lot. It requires a lot of wearing down of the, I mean, it's pretty extreme. So there's another level of Ojas which is more minor, and that's what tends to get used up more in daily life and through the stresses and trials and tribulations of daily life. That lower form of Ojas gets used up a lot. If all of that lower Ojas got used up, then we would have to go to that reservoir, that's those 8 drops in the heart, which we can't afford to lose even one of them. So you see how some people who die like before they really should, so to speak, is, you know, depletion is a significant factor in that.
Oh, wow.
Perhaps the factor. So the moon here is all that is not depletion, right? The moon is nourishment, growth. It's that life energy, that essence wanting to flow into you and give you that. And that's why we also say that the moon allows us to renew ourselves in the face of stresses and the challenges of life. That's the function of Ojas. If you don't have enough Ojas, every little thing that comes at you that requires a change or a stress response becomes very, very stressful. We all know some people like this, and perhaps even ourselves, but at times.
Good.
If we have enough Ojas, we have enough lunar essence, then we can respond to the changes of life readily. You know, we make that shift. We make that adaptation that's being asked of us without stress. So with this moon in the 8th house for Libra people, they're really getting a nice boost in that department. They're really getting a lot of boosts of life energy, of life essence, of Ojas. So they should really just soak that up. In fact, I don't know how they couldn't.
Right, and look at it. It's aspect in the
opposition.
Well, yeah, it's aspect in the ascendant in the sign aspects.
So I would say Libra are some of the best situated people for this full moon.
Oh, that's really nice. You know, one of the things I don't want to actually give you more work to do. I just want to know if you could maybe put on your website or something like what is Ojas producing or enhancing, like maybe a drink or a meal or an activity or something like that. That would be really nice.
Sure.
At some point.
Sure. Happy to do that. It's quite an esoteric concept.
Yeah, you know, I have a recipe for an Ojas enhancing drink.
Yep.
And it has, you know, almond milk in it and ghee and some spices.
Yeah,
and it doesn't seem like it can really do much, right? It's just a drink. But part of it is it's the combination of the ingredients that. So if you could do that before the full moon, everybody can make a drink, you know, for that time.
Recipe for Ojas milk. So one of the best remedies for the moon. So I should post that.
Yeah, that would be great. I would appreciate that.
Sure.
Okay, like I said, I don't mean to keep giving you work to do, but
that's what I'm here for.
Okay. Okay, so let's go to Scorpio. Look at all this. Oh my goodness, Scorpio, there is such an emphasis on the first house for you, but the full moon is in the 7th, which is the other, the partner, the public. It's everything that's the opposite of you. So there is kind of an emphasis on relationship for you, even though you're quite busy right now with yourself because of all this stuff that's going on here in the first house. Plus it's aspected as well by Saturn too. So you have, you know, you've got a mix here of planets that are called gentle and only one planet that perhaps can bring some challenge, and that is the sun. But, you know, the reason that the moon is full is because it's exactly opposite the sun. And I timed it so that they're exactly the same degree in the same minutes. So at 5:45 p.m. Greenwich time. There's an exact full moon there in the 7th house. So anyway, for you, the emphasis is the 7th. And that's your partnerships, especially romantic partnerships. It can be a spouse, it can be a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or it could even be a business partner. And the moon there is shedding some light and bringing something nice. So if you're single, it would be a good time, even though it's a Wednesday in the middle of the week, to be around other people and to be with friends, perhaps to be with relatives and meet new people. Because you never know, you can meet somebody when the full moon is going through your 7th house, which happens only once a year. So it's a good time. And you have a week to prepare, to come up with something fun, like maybe just go out to dinner or something with your friends and ask them to bring people you haven't met yet. So you want to talk about this?
Sure. I think, it's kind of amusing that Scorpio here is loaded with all these planets, because Scorpio is an intense sign, and these people usually have quite a bit going on all the time inside of themselves. And they really should just forget themselves and just go to that 7th house for this full moon and let all of that inner transformative turmoil, just let it go to rest for a while, and put energy into the 7th house, because that's where the energy really is. The nourishing energy is in the 7th house. And if they can go there, they'll gain a lot, and they'll be able to soak in that earthy stability of this lunar energy. That's what its purpose is for them. And, Scorpio is a water sign, Taurus is an earth sign, and, Scorpio is ruled by Mars, though. So there's a lot of intensity to their kind of yin nature. It's not
Mars is.
Exactly.
Look where it is for them.
Exactly.
The 4th house of the inner emotional life.
Exactly. So Scorpio has a choice. They could stay in the 1st house and, really work through some things about, and really stew in a lot of intensity. Or they can go to the 7th house and be really nourished. And if they can make use of that nourishment, they're going to have a lot more juice with which to metabolize everything that's going on in that 1st house. So they really need to make use of that moon. And I would say that this is mostly a psychological thing.
That's very interesting. And look, it's aspecting their 9th, too, the 9th house for Scorpio. Mm-hmm. So if you don't actually want to be around other people, you can just spend time with the divine.
Exactly. Go outside of yourself, so to speak.
Yeah, go outside of yourself. Right. Yeah, it's a great way to put it, Neeshee. So, and Rahu's in the 10th for them, so there might be some intense things going on at work, in their creative work in the world. It's also aspecting the 3rd, and they've had Saturn there for a while, so they're probably learning some new skills and coming to perfecting something, mastering something. And the full moon aspecting that house can bring you some reward in how hard you've been working. And Saturn is also aspecting the 10th, where, and Rahu is aspecting the 3rd too. So it has been quite intense for Scorpio rising for a while. And but the full moon is going to bring you some rest. If you can be open and receptive to perhaps allowing more people into your life or a new person into your life and bring you some kind of blessing, that would be nice. Okay, so Sagittarius. And for Sagittarius, it is in the 6th house. So an emphasis on health. Also overcoming obstacles. It's the house of enemies. So it may be an opportunity to turn an enemy into a friend. It is, it's definitely a health house. So if you are wanting to improve your health and your fitness, or if you have some kind of a health issue, first of all, I recommend that you consult with Neeshee, because he is a Ayurveda practitioner and an astrologer, and he has the inside track because he uses astrology to help diagnose what's going on with you. So it's actually better to go to an astrologer who's also an Ayurveda practitioner or vice versa than to just go to an Ayurveda practitioner. And anyway, so the full moon there in your 6th house is going to be shedding some light for you on your health and your fitness, and perhaps bringing you a reward as well on the hard work that you've been doing. So you want to take it from here, Neeshee?
Sure. So 6th house, major health house. I would say this has similar connotations as it did for Libra, who had the moon in the 8th. I think that moon in the 8th is really more powerful in terms of the nourishment that they're getting at the level of their life force. But this is still really good overall for their health, Sagittarius people. And they really need it because they are a fire sign. And like I said already, fire really consumes a lot. So these people tend to consume a lot in their life, and they don't usually have enough to hold on to. Being a more yang sign, they need more of that yin energy to balance out. So they're getting that opportunity now, especially in regards to their health. So a mistake they could make is during the full moon to just like crank it. You know? But that's not what we want to be doing on this full moon. Sagittarius have an opportunity to just receive, get some of this lunar essence into their system through rest, relaxation, rejuvenation. Maybe they'll something about their health will be illuminated for them, some habits or some dietary practices or something they're doing that's maybe not the best thing, and they're ready to make a new adaptation that's going to really serve their health. There could be insights like that in terms of overcoming enemies, overcoming disease, overcoming imbalances they have. Otherwise, they should just allow this to be what it is and feel that nourishment. Because if you have more nourishment, then you can go back out on the battlefields and consume whatever you want. So if you don't have that nourishment, though, then eventually you're consuming yourself after you've consumed everything on your path. And that's when we get into depletion.
Right, right. And for them, too, the moon is aspecting the 8th.
That's right.
They're getting some of that Libra is getting.
That's very true. That's really nice.
Quite nice. And the 2nd house, too. So
very nourishing moon for them, yeah.
Right. So you might want to listen to what we said about for Aries and for Gemini. And also for Virgo, because it's aspecting the 2nd house for Virgo. And you should get something out of that as well. Okay, so now for Capricorn, where Saturn is, right there in the 1st house. So Capricorn rising, Saturn here has been making you very aware of your mortality, how much time there is realistically left for you to do the things that you really want to do in this lifetime. Your bucket list, so to speak. What's nice is that the full moon is aspecting the 1st house. So you've had this difficult energy on your body for, well, since Saturn has been in Capricorn, which has been since last December, so almost a year now. And this gentle full moon aspecting the 1st house means that you can relax that day and not worry that you're going to be losing precious time, because it's not just about working and working and working and getting everything done before you die. It's also about having some fulfillment here on Earth for your work. And the moon aspecting there can help you with that, will definitely give you that. Now for you, the moon, the full moon, is in the 5th house of creativity. So you're going to be tempted to do some work that day, but if you can, just maybe write down your creative ideas just so you capture them, but you don't have to like go crazy and do them right that day necessarily, unless you find it really rejuvenating, seriously, truly rejuvenating. Plus, the first house is aspected by all these planets too in Scorpio. So it's, you know, it's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, for sure. And so try to focus on the fifth house, because that's where the full moon is. And maybe take a little bit of emphasis off yourself. If you have children, maybe you can get together with your children, or you can do something creative with someone you enjoy. Now, the moon is aspecting your seventh, so there can be an emphasis there on relationship too. So maybe you can do something with your partner if you have a partner. And maybe it's just staying at home, because the moon likes being at home, and just relaxing together. So, Neeshee, you want to talk about this?
Sure. I think Capricorn being an earth sign and Taurus being an earth sign, this moon is very much in line with a lot of the qualities of Capricorn at an elemental level. Now, Capricorn is also guilty of being the workhorse, and that is not, you know, conducive to maintaining lunar essence or ojas or immunity and, well, therefore well-being. So this is a great opportunity for them also, because they're having a nice full moon in the fifth house. They can feel nourished by following their creative inspirations. And I think it'll come easily for them because of this earthy connection they have. Now, Capricorn is a movable sign, whereas Taurus is a fixed sign and so on. But if they can stay still, I think they'll find a source of inspiration enters them. And that is going to be something very nourishing for them. And that really, when we're connected to something inspiring, we ignite this force of vitality in our physiologies. When we're not connected to inspiration, when we're not connected to creativity, the very forces of life feel more or less shut down in us. So creativity and inspiration are simply ways in which life force is expressed naturally. So that's why I think this is a really important one also. They can get a lot out of this, and the key is going to be in being receptive. That's how it's going to come to them. Not through their efforts, which is a typical mode of Capricorn, which is to effort their way into things and through things, which is usually quite good. But in this moment, the connection they're going to get to their inspiration is going to be a passive event.
Yeah. And do you have any, because it's also emphasizing some kapha, with Saturn being there, would you say it's the same, meaning where they should not eat things that are kapha producing, or would that be okay for them because Saturn is there? Does that make any sense?
It does. I would, Capricorn is doshically mixed. In my view, it's like it's a tridoshic Rashi.
Which means it has all the elements for people listening.
Right.
All the earth signs do.
Exactly. They're all rather tridoshic. And so it's really hard to pin down. Like, you'll see all kinds of Capricorn people. I would say that Saturn being there has definitely made it tough for Capricorn, and that their life force has not been moving as quickly, as readily, at the pace it needs to, or flowing really very well. A tendency. So this moon in the fifth is an opportunity for a flow to start happening, because inspiration is a flow, right? When you get inspired, it's like something's just coming and moving through you. Yeah. So that's an opportunity for this to be alleviated a bit, but it's not going to come through efforting. That's the key. I'm not too worried about them getting imbalanced through their diets. Okay. I think they should maintain probably it doesn't have to be totally like anti-kapha diet, but definitely one that's neutral. like a tridoshic diet, one that's not really going to imbalance any of the doshas, a diet that's not extreme in any way whatsoever. Just a sattvic diet is going to be useful to them because it'll allow all these doshas to come in balance. It'll allow Saturn's, constriction of the life energy to be alleviated as much as possible.
Okay. And Mars being in the second, Mars and Ketu being in the second. So there is some emphasis on diet with that there, isn't there? Maybe a little bit more. It's about what you say, right? Words.
Right.
It's
Rahu in the 8th, huh?
What's that?
Rahu in
the 8th. So if you were looking at this as a relationship chart, this would be a Kuja dosha thing. And I've noticed too, because I have Capricorn rising, I've noticed that I feel a little bit more irritable lately.
Yeah, definitely Mars K2.
Yeah.
But that Rahu in the 8th is really, is really making it harder for Capricorn people right now to feel that sense of immunity and resistance to stress. So they're quite vulnerable. Rahu in the 8th is vulnerable position, and people can get very stressed. They can get really broken down. Their life force can get hurt with that kind of a placement.
Oh, interesting.
And with Saturn on the 1st on top of it, I mean, this is a tough thing. I think Capricorns have really been going through it. Probably they're really praying for Rahu to move into Cancer, just like Leos are. But
that is so funny.
I think they should really utilize this moon for that reason, because this moon is an opportunity for them to gain a lot of life energy and to be really nourished, where they've really been feeling vulnerable and constricted.
Okay. Well, that's great. Okay, so Aquarius. Well, for Aquarius, the full moon is in the 4th house, which is where the moon's own home. That's where the moon also loves to be. Even though the 2nd house is really critical, the 4th house is very important as well. And that's your inner emotional life. And it's also your home, where you live. So this is a really nice time for relaxing. And it being in Taurus, perfect time to have people that you love, that you care for, to come to your house and spend time with you while you nourish them with food, because that's what the moon in Taurus loves to do, but also for you to receive nourishment yourself in your own emotional happiness, because the 4th house is about emotional happiness. It's related to our mothers. It is the things that we do to get our needs met, and how to get our needs met is something that we learn in our relationship with our mother at a very early age. And we get opportunities to do this once a year to perhaps reflect on that and see if, how is that going? Where is your emotional happiness? How dependent is it on other people? And how can you be able to source more of your emotional happiness without necessarily depending on other people for it? So, you want to talk about it now, Neeshee?
Sure. Well, Aquarius have had a tough scene going on with Mars K2 in the 1st.
Right.
So this moon in the 4th is really a nice blessing. And see, Aquarius also are in a similar position as Aries and Leo, these fire signs. Aquarius is an air sign, so they're also tending to consume or evaporate their ojas, or their life force. And so they really need these full moons, just like the fire signs need these full moons. They don't tend to hold on to their vitality as readily. So I think it's really nice that they're getting a full moon in the 4th house. Emotionally, that's really going to help them. I mean, air and emotions are very closely related. Air is like the flow of life energy, the flow part of it. And the flow of life energy affects our emotional state more than anything else. So that's why the emotions and energy are so deeply linked. So I would say that having this moon in their 4th house is really going to help their health by functioning to balance that flow of life energy for them at an emotional level. And they really need that because, as you were saying, with Mars Ketu, there can be a lot of frustration, a lot of irritation. This is a major, Mars Ketu is very pitta imbalancing, a lot of fire going in the wrong ways. Yeah. And fire also is a consuming energy. So you have a lot of fiery things going wrong in an air sign. And so there's just everything that's missing is earth and water, which is what you want. And that's what the moon is. So they're going to get that on the full moon. They should be attentive to that as an alleviation of a lot of what's been going on.
Also, because look, there's a lot of emphasis on the 10th. So they've probably been very consumed with work, whether it's a job or their own business or their home, whatever their creative work is in the world. This has been a strong, strong emphasis where the moon here means to go within and focus on yourself and your own emotional.
When you have a source of inner security, then your outer expression becomes something harmonious and inherently radiant. So a lot of the stress and focus of that 10th house is really pointing back to the 4th, where this full moon is going to really give a source of nourishment. So that moon is going to equip Aquarius people to go into this 10th house. So just be conscious of that.
I like that. Yeah. Okay, yeah, and then for the body with Mars and Ketu there, do you have something just in general? Just because I know Mars is still going to be there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Ketu is going to be there still for a little bit. Is that, I mean, that's a drying thing, isn't it? Can be done.
It is. Yeah, you know, these people would really benefit from doing abhyanga, which is self-massage with oil.
Oh, right.
It's often herbally infused oil, and every day you just rub that oil all over your body and leave it on for 21 minutes. Because it takes 3 minutes for the oil to penetrate each dhatu, or each of the 7 tissues.
Interesting.
By the time it's penetrated the 7th tissue, it's been 21 minutes. At that point, you can go take a shower. Shortcut approach in the shower, just put oil all over yourself and just let it rinse off naturally without using soap and all of that. That's also useful because your pores will be opened up. So that lubrication will bring in water element for these people.
Oh, great.
It's very balancing to Vata and Pitta to do oil massage that way. The other thing is that they will really benefit from Ojas milk.
Okay.
So that recipe coming soon.
Okay, so now the last sign, Pisces. And for Pisces, the full moon is in the 3rd house. So this is siblings, it's teammates, it's skills, it's one of the houses of communication, so it could be writing. And the moon itself is one of the planets required to be a writer. And you need to have it aspected by or ruled by either Venus, Jupiter, or Mercury. And it's ruled by Venus right now. If you have something to say, this is a great time to say it. And because the moon likes to speak sweet words of encouragement, and it loves to see things grow, this would be a great time to say something encouraging, perhaps, to your teammates, your siblings, your neighbors. And if you're a writer, of course, this is something to really jump on if you're Pisces rising. A great time. It's like everything will flow. Whatever you have to say, it'll just flow. So you could set aside some time just for communicating. And there's a variety of ways to do that. It doesn't have to be writing necessarily. It could be just conversation and or a YouTube video, depending on what you're doing in the world. So yeah, the third house, there's an emphasis there on, the third house is also related to the arms, the hands, the shoulders, and looking around and being receptive to opportunity and doing something with your hands too if you want. So if you're going to write, I would suggest that you actually write it by hand first and then transfer it into the computer. Because when you do it, when you write longhand, you're connecting the head and the heart together, and there's something about it that helps you to go deeper and to really access what you truly want to say when you do it that way, old school. You can always put it into the computer later and then edit, but start longhand. So, Neeshee, your turn.
Okay, Pisces. What's standing out to me is Rahu being in the 6th and all those planets in the 9th.
Okay.
So definitely they are having a tough time with health with Rahu in the 6th. I mean, that's serious. 6th house is a house of disease and enemies. Rahu is one of the major causes of imbalances in the chart.
Oh.
You know,
physically, you mean health-wise?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Rahu in the 6th is really shows that their health has probably been sensitive. They've probably been having imbalances of some kind or another. So they really need to tune into the full moon. I mean, everybody needs to tune into the full moon. That's basically been the theme here. That's why it's happening. That's the point of a full moon, is that the lunar energy is at its apex. So you have an opportunity to receive something. Now, the import of that is magnified when you have Rahu in the 6th, because you really need that. So I would say that, of course, the way that they're going to go about getting that is going to be through the 3rd house, which is where this full moon is happening for them. So they should really, really make sure they connect with that.
Okay. It's also aspecting the 5th house of creativity for them, too, luckily. And the 8th house. So that will help.
That will help, yes.
Right.
And they're watery in nature, of course, Pisces people. So they are not as prone to depletion as other signs are, other people are. So it's, you know, it's not extreme, but definitely Rahu in the 6th has its extremes.
So it also means, too, that they could be dealing with the military in some way in their life. Just because Rahu in the 6th can be involving the military and or real estate.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have Ketu in the 12th with Mars. So, you know, they might do well for some meditation, discover some of the deeper origins of their imbalances that way.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that sounds really good. So now it's a water sign, Pisces. So is that why they don't tend to get depleted as easily, because it's a water sign?
Yeah, of course, you know, it depends on all the other factors in the chart.
Okay, of course.
I mean, you never know. You could have a Pisces ascendant with like everything else in fire signs, right? So,
this is true. This is true.
Just speaking in terms of the ascendant as the body.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about that.
Right, and it would because Rahu is in the 6th house too of the health, it would be a great time to get an Ayurveda practitioner, an Ayurveda consultation.
Yeah, they definitely need they need to be getting on something to help their health. They need a consultation. Yeah. Sure. I mean, Rahu in the 6th, they need something.
Yeah, and you can get it. The great thing too about Ayurveda is that it's holistic. It's not just like going to the doctor, you know, where you get a prescription or something. It's for every part of your being. And then, of course, looking into the birth chart and the transits, the time period that you're in, all those things come into play. And so you want somebody who's highly skilled to talk to you about your health. So, Neeshee. Yeah, this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this with you, Neeshee, because this is the kind of knowledge that is just generally so helpful for people. And they may not even know that it's possible to consult somebody for their health that uses the birth chart, which in my opinion makes it more specific to you. You know? And Ayurveda practitioners, I think they're all awesome. I really do, just because they're working with nature as much as possible. But when you go to one who also knows astrology, then I personally would trust that more, because I know they're looking at my chart and not just depending on pulse diagnosis, even though that can be amazing too.
Can be. And, you know, a lot of people will, the thing with, you know, when you have Rahu in the 6th, or any kind of Rahu Ketu being the factor of the disease or the imbalance, it can be missed quite easily through the usual channels of healthcare. Like, you might see an Ayurvedic practitioner who's quite good, but they might not see that. They're not using astrology. They won't see the Rahu Ketu factor of your imbalance, which is probably the primary factor, the root factor. They'll see everything that's happening because of it, and they'll help remediate that. But Rahu Ketu is really what's happening, right, at the root of that. So Rahu Ketu is hard to find, you know, empirically in that way. You can't really find it unless you're happened across an Ayurvedic practitioner who's highly intuitive and has a real gift, a psychic gift with the pulse.
Isn't that fascinating? You know, don't you have a video also about, I don't remember exactly. I know you did a video, I think, with Ryan and or Corey about Ayurveda and astrology, right? I
did videos with both of them on Ayurveda and astrology, right.
Okay, so where can people go to watch those?
They can go to Corey's channel, which is Eye of the Veda.
Okay.
That's Corey Dowd's Eye of the Veda. I had a conversation with him about Ayurveda and astrology. We were particularly looking at how to find the constitution to the birth chart, but also speaking generally. And then Ryan and I had an in-depth conversation about Ayurvedic, astrology, psychology, Rahu Ketu, and that's on Ryan Kurzak's channel, which is Astrological Astrology.
Yeah, Astrological Astrology.
So yeah, people can check those out.
Okay, well, and if you guys really liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, because then you'll get notification of when we do the next full moon next month. And thank you so much for joining us.
Sure, it's my pleasure.
And we'll see you next month.